Docker and Sitecore 10. Tell me how it would work for developers.
Basically download, I mean, there are a bunch of images that Sitecore has developed, and those images are up there. So you could basically download those images, and then you can run those images, and there are volumes that get mounted into the containers so that the data gets persisted. And you just use the Docker Compose to bring up your whole environment in one go. And the whole environment comes up. You do all your work.
Are you doing Visual Studio inside the Docker image?
Yeah.
Or are you doing it from the outside?
No, from the outside. But you would be able to do remote debugging, connecting to the remote process in the container.
And you publish to the mounted file system.
Right. And there is a PowerShell script in the containers that Sitecore has published, which is a watcher script that basically monitors that mounted volume and publishes it to the instance whenever you have updates to that mounted volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why is this better than what we do now?
Well, you don't have to install it. You can move along a version much easily.
Yeah.
There is
clients.
Right. You can also, if and this is the part where Sitecore, in the sense, is a big, but if you have enough capacity.
Is it big what?
It is big in the sense of resource-wise. Yeah. It requires a lot of resources. So basically, you could run the production environment locally and just test it, like have a full production environment, the same one that you have running in the cloud. You can run it in your local machine or in your local instance of some sort. So it allows you to fully test it and fully develop on that environment, like if it was yours. If you, for any reason, something happens and there is a bug or an issue or something breaks, you can just dump the image and bring a new image, and you just need to deploy your code again. And
how often does that happen to us, where you mess up, hose your environment to the point where you wish you could delete everything and restart?
Well, it happens often enough for us where we are doing virtual machines, right? And the reason that we're doing the virtual machines is because installing Sitecore 9 is not as fast as installing Sitecore 8 used to be. Because in Sitecore 8, what you basically do is just deploy or copy the DLLs and the files, and that's it. You'll just need to have an IIS running, and that's pretty much it. That was the part that you. Of course, if you need a Solid running, Solid rarely crashes in that sense. Or you could use Lucene for local development. And there was no identity server. There was no requirement for having Redis. But if you have Redis, again, Redis could run as a service, and it wasn't that big or problematic. And it's very rare the case where database is the issue in the sense of something that you put in the items that you need to recover from. So it's most of the times when you're developing something that you deploy a wrong config or something gets messed up config-wise, that you need to spend sometimes just trying to figure out what's wrong. It's not that it's difficult, but it's time-consuming. So whenever you're trying to be 100% productive, or at least as much productive as possible, then this becomes a really interesting option. It's not without a set of problems. Like, for example, what Prasanth was saying, you will need to remote debug, which sometimes is not that pretty. I know that there has been a lot of work on that environment or to getting those things working in that sense. The other part is that when you're running locally, you have to run Docker, and you run an image in top of Hyper-V. Or at least that's my understanding. You run an image on top of Hyper-V. Hyper-V is the one, and the image within the Hyper-V is the one that's actually doing the containers in that system. Additionally, at least the ones that I've seen for Sitecore 9, you basically do what Prasanth was saying, where it's not that you build a new image from scratch. You basically run the image and just slowly but surely modify the items, the content inside via the volumes or the amount options that you have placed on your system. So there is a learning curve, and there is going to be some adaptation, some work that you need to do in order to get accustomed and fully working on it. But I believe it is going to be much easier for us to deploy and to have environments for developers, and to bring more people or to have people with less experience in Sitecore much faster install. Because otherwise, right now, if you tell somebody that is pretty new, hey, here's Sitecore, you need to install it, It's going to take me a while to figure out how to install it.
The environment comes up pretty easily, and once you are working on it and you feel that it is done and you don't need it, you just down the using the Docker Compose, and you're done with that environment, and you can bring up some other client environment. So it's pretty clean in that you'd be able to switch between environments, and the conflicts that you might have on your machine are very low. Like you are separated, you're isolated into the containers, and you are not going to be having conflicts and all that.